Hey, Riverhouse, Pastor Jordan here,
I'm Benji.
and welcome to our 21-day devotional series. These are a series of videos meant to coincide with the corporate fast that we are embarking on as a community. And what you're about to listen to are some short clips from some long-form conversations that Benji and I have had over the last few weeks.
Our hope and prayer is that these conversations would magnify the name of Jesus and draw you closer to his presence these 21 days. Bless you.
Jordan, say someone has never fasted, let alone a 21-day fast. What is the significance of doing something like a fast elongated in a person's prayer life?
Yeah, I think fasting is one of the things that makes it so dynamic, is particularly in our world that's like, I don't know if you're like me, but my calendar is always getting more full than I'd like it to be. I'm like the terrible chronic of like, I think I can get it done in an hour, but it's actually going to take 3 hours, So it's like there's always this sense where things are cram. It starts to really invade our mind, our imagination, our whole being. And I think fasting is similar to like retreating, or like, when I used to go out and get into the wilderness or whatever, where it starts to create an actual, like, a vacancy for something else to occupy what's already been so full. And I think we don't realize how much food plays a part of our lives, just practically, like 3 times a day, all day, every day. Like we're either eating or kind of planning our next eating, whatever it is. So there's a real practical dimension, I think, to fasting, of like a huge component of our lives, boom, gone. And then I always find there's just, because of that, a more of an acute awareness of myself. Like, I'm not eating, so then what am I doing? And then when you're not, and then I also find I don't usually exercise as much because you're not eating. So then like that goes off the table, and it just feels like there's this grace to really start to become present. So that's probably been like the practical component. I think there's spiritual aspects of it. Trains us into hunger. It trains us into not, poverty, hunger, pain, hunger, pain.
Actually, just cultivating pain.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't know, but so I think there's things that it's like our physical body, which we are embodied spirits. I think our physical body becomes a tutor and a training aid for our spirits to then engage through that physical posture. Connect with God. So.
I want to zoom in on one of the lines that you said there that I thought was profound, and we can unlock more through. You said, like, our hunger pain, or the physical embodied urge toward food, can force us to be present, was a word you used. I'm curious if you wouldn't mind just talking a bit about why, or if you feel like people fail to be present today, and why being present is something that's meaningful in our spiritual journey.
Yeah, it's a really great question. You can correct me on this, but the word hineni, is that how you say it?
Hineni, yeah.
Hineni is like what Samuel prays, Abraham would pray it, Moses prayed. It's like that. It's when God would, interact with someone. It's like that response, hineni, here I am. And I think that word has a gravity to it that we miss sometimes. Like, Eli just told Samuel, if the Lord speaks next time, say, here I am. But there's a depth to that word when you really think about it, that you're saying, like, here I am. Like, I'm right here, right now, in this present moment, fully engaged. And like, we all know this. I can be sitting here, like, we're together physically, but when we get preoccupied or anxious or whatever, we can be somewhere, but we're not really there. Like, we're somewhere else. And I think that right now in our day and age, our attention is probably more fractured than maybe it's ever been in the history of the world, just because we have personal advertising devices that are designed to prey upon our attention. And I can't, I just feel like I'm constantly in a journey of fighting the pressure to like hone in and get my attention back. And so I think, we need physical aids, like tutoring. Like, I think it's why Jesus went to a quiet place. I think it's why we always talk about the prayer closet. Like, I don't think a lot of people actually pray in a closet, but the language, it's like we need secluded spaces where we don't have screens, when we're fasting, where we don't have food, where there's like these urges and things that actually maybe would disciple us to presence, into Hineni. Because without that, if you're not here, if you're somewhere else, well, how are you going to connect with God who's like, I'm here,
Whoa,
dwelling in your body?
that's really good. That reminds me of something that St. Augustine said in the book Confessions. He said, God exists outside of time, but a human doesn't. We exist very much in time. But in our consciousness, we can pretend like we exist in the future or in the past because of where we dwell mentally. But to actually commune with God, we can't project ourselves into the future or the past because my being isn't capable of being there. I have to be present if I'm going to connect with the Lord. The only place where God is actually accessible to me is right here, right now. But what a good thing to say that we actually live in arguably the most distracted time in human history.
Yeah. I'm not an expert, but I would take a guess and say that.
I would guess that.
Yeah. I love what you said with the Augustine, because if you think of fear is predominantly, you're not often afraid of what right now is. Most of our fears live there in the future, in the unknown. It's like Mark Twain. I've survived many crises in my life, and a few of them actually happened. It's like
That's a great quote.
we like, there's so much fear, and I think that fear is one of the things that gets preyed upon. I think it's one of the reasons that we're not very good at praying as Westerners, is because there's so much anxiety and messages and things and narratives that are spinning in our brain. We don't even realize it's like the distraction is like purposeful in a way, because to get undistracted means you have to sit down and face what's going on inside of you. And to sit down and face what's going on inside of you can be a pretty scary and daunting task. Like, I am still amazed at how terrified I am of getting quiet sometimes.
Wow. Unpack that. What do you mean when you say terrified of getting quiet?
Every time I go on vacation, every time I have a day away, or like I have longer time, I will find something in me that's fighting that, because I'm going to find out what's really going on inside of me when I get rid of a screen, when I get rid of all the external stimulations and I come to a quiet place. Then I'm going to have to hear the noise. I don't really know how I'm doing until, I feel like every vacation that I have in my life is a litmus test of how engaged and healthy I've been living, because I'm like, if I'm anxiety and this and this and angst, because it's like, it's scary. I think we, like humans, we have really, we're very emotional beings, and emotions are probably scarier than we like to admit sometimes. Like, they're hard emotions, like feeling powerless or feeling embarrassed or shameful or scared or, anxious. Like, it's hard. Like, we don't like to feel these things. And so we try to escape our present reality by a future reality or a distracted reality or something reality. And yet God is right there with us in the midst of our anxiety and our shame and our fear and our guilt and all, joys and everything else. And so, I think meaningful prayer takes place at the very point that we're often afraid to go to.
Well, that's perfect. In that authentic spot. So I think what I'm hearing from you is, in order for me to get the most out of a 21-day fast, or even any daily prayer space, I have to be intentional to try and restrict myself from the things that easily distract me, so that I can create a holy space where I'll be undistracted and I can focus my attention.